Committee will come to order. Clerk will call the roll. Somebody hit Monty's button.
Hold on, I'm sorry. I apologize.
Thank you. Committee will stand at ease. Okay. I think we're going to get started here, and we're going to start with the subcommittee report from Chairman Cosgrove. Senator Cosgrove.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Subcommittee 2 met. The first bill that we took up was Senate Bill 1094, Senator Favola's bill. Basically, this will authorize any county adjacent to a county that has adopted the urban county executive form of government, which really narrows it down, by ordinance to provide for the regulation and licensing of persons who provide child care services for compensation. There's a recommendation of the subcommittee to report 4-0, and I so move.
And I would second. Any further discussion on that? Committee will vote. Yeas 11, nays 0. Senator Cosgrove.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Next bill is Senator Mason's Senate Bill 1407. There is an amendment to the bill, Mr. Chairman.
I'd move the amendment. Is there a second?
Second.
Amendment's been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That's before us.
All right. I'm sorry.
Okay. David's advised me there's one more amendment we may need to make to that bill, and I would move that amendment.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to make the technical amendment. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That's before us. Go
Thank
ahead,
you,
sir.
Mr. Chairman. This basically allows fingerprint background checks for child care providers. Made some good sense in the committee. It was a recommendation to report the bill from Rehabilitation and Social Services and re-refer to Finance 4-0, and I so move.
Before we take that motion totally up, David, does that still need to go to finance?
No, Mr. Chairman,
I don't think it needs to be.
I think the financial impact on that's been revised.
No. Okay. So, Senator Cosgrove, would you be willing to?
Absolutely. If it doesn't need to go to Finance, that's so much the better for everybody. So I would amend my motion to report the amended bill, and that was a recommendation of the committee 4-0, and so move.
It's been moved and seconded to report the bill. Committee will vote. Senator Cosgrove.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Then, sorry
Oh,
about that. The next bill was Senator McClellan's 1435, and there is a substitute.
I'd move the substitute. Second. The substitute's probably before us. All those in favor of the substitute say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Go ahead, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This bill would allow the Commissioner of Social Services to issue a summary order of suspension of a license of any child care welfare agency when conditions or practices exist that pose an immediate and substantial threat to the health, safety, or welfare of children receiving care. We heard the bill. There was a little bit of contention to it. Senator McClellan is here. It was a recommendation to report the substitute 2 for, 1 against, and 1 abstention. So Senator McClellan is here if you care to hear it.
Do any members have a question on the bill from the sub, that were not on the subcommittee that wish to hear the bill? Okay, I don't see that. I don't have a question because I trust my subcommittee.
All right, I did not vote to, I didn't vote for this, did I? Okay.
All right, it's been moved and properly seconded that the bill be reported.
May want to have.
Committee will vote.
Mr. Chairman,
You have a question you want to ask on the bill?
I have Hanger, but did you want to have her explain it first on this one?
well, I'll put in that vote up. We'll just, yeah,
You good?
yeah.
Okay. All right, yeas 13, nays 1. Senator McClellan, you might have to explain it on the floor a little bit, just in case.
The one thing I would say is it creates the same authority for childcare facilities that the commissioner currently has for assisted living facilities. And there was some confusion at the subcommittee because the substitute, they hadn't had time to read it. And so I think most of the confusion was over the process, but the substitute made the process identical for the two facilities.
Gotcha. Thank you. Senator Cosgrove.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Senate Bill 1570, which is Senator Lewis's bill, at the request of the patron, I make the motion to strike the bill.
It's been moved and seconded to strike the bill. Committee will vote. Senator Cosgrove.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Senate Bill 1622, Senator McPike's bill. There is a substitute, and I move the substitute, Mr. Chairman.
It's been moved and properly seconded to accept the substitute. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Mr. Chairman, what this bill does is require testing for lead in water in different facilities where, children are present. It lays out the parts per billion that are acceptable, the acceptable levels. It was a recommendation 4-0 to report the substitute, and I so move.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that the substitute be reported. Came out of subcommittee 4-0. Committee will vote. Is that all you got? 15-0. Is that all you got?
Yes, sir. All we had left was Senator Hanger's bill. We heard testimony on the bill, but Senator Hanger was not able to make it, so we did not take action on it.
Okay, so, John, will you?
Got it.
Committee will stand at ease just for a second. All right, so, let me see if I can take this up. You got it. John, you got it.
Yep. Okay. All right, Mr. Chairman, we have your bills before us. You carrying Senator Hanger's bill, or? Make sure the mic's on, please.
Mr. Chairman, I'm going to present Senator Hanger's bill. We have an amendment in the nature of substitute. If we could get that passed
Any
out.
motion on the
I'd move that.
substitute? It's moved and seconded. We accept the substitute. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. All right. Substitute properly before us.
Mr. Chairman, this bill has been simplified since we originally heard some of the parts of the bill of what this bill did. There was some discrepancy whether or not this fell in line with what was regulation already. There were some concerns from the administration, and the substitute now addresses that to align this bill and basically codify with what is the regulatory process for the storage of firearms and ammunition in a licensed family day home. And this just marries the two up. David, you can speak to the bill if anyone has a question onto the bill for that.
Mr. Chairman, may I ask one?
Senator
Mr. Chairman, why do we need the first line? Possession of any firearm or ammunition in a licensed family day home shall comply with federal and state laws. Isn't that one of these, no kidding?
Mr. Chair, Senator Mason, I would say that would be correct.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Chairman.
All right, go ahead and hear about the bill. So, is it, this is
Mr.
much less
Chairman,
intrusive.
I
than
would
what-
move the bill barring, I think the administration's on board. As of this morning, they're happy with the bill at this point.
We're having some head shaking behind you.
There.
Oh, Nick.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. Nikki Zamosny. I'm the Assistant Secretary of Public Safety and Homeland Security. And I actually just got the copy of the substitute.
Me too.
So we're taking a look at it. I will say that I think that they addressed most of our concerns, and we're so grateful for Senator Hanger's work on this bill and being willing to talk with us, and we very much appreciate the intent of what he's trying to do. But the current regulations actually require that the ammunition be stored separately from the firearm, and the way that this bill is written would not require that. I think that's just one of the concerns that we have, that it might undermine the regulations, and without having additional time to look at it, I'm not sure that we can support it. I think we would still have some concerns about it.
Well, let me ask you, basically, Senator Hanger's original bill called out the separate storage of firearms and ammunition. So what's different from Senator Hanger bill and current regulations?
Well, and Senator Hanger's original bill also said that if you were not lawfully prohibited from carrying a firearm, that you could have it on your person at any time, and that's the language that he struck that we're really happy about. I actually have a copy of the regulations here. If I'm happy to provide them to council to demonstrate the differences between the current bill and the regulations.
All right, thank you. Is there anybody here that wants to speak in support of the bill? Anybody else to speak in opposition to the bill? Yes, sir.
Mr. Chairman, Andrew Goddard, Virginia Center for Public Safety. We're strong supporters of child access prevention, and we believe that the existing language...
Excuse me, sir, can you try to speak, turn up the mic or...
Andrew Goddard, Virginia Center for Public Safety. We're strong supporters of child access prevention in all places where children are gathered. We believe that the existing language in the regulations would be improved by being codified exactly as it was written in the regulations, but not in this modified version. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I have a question.
Mr. Chairman.
Who's, Senator Servo.
And I don't know if this is a question for the patron or a question for the council, but my recollection is about 12 or 14 years ago, Fairfax County had to come to the legislature to get authority to prohibit firearms in or at least home-based daycare in Fairfax County. They wanted to have local authority to do that, and they eventually got it. And this legislation doesn't seem to contemplate any kind of local choice on something like that. And in fact, it seems to assume that firearms are okay and anything that a local government can't prohibit. I was just curious if this statute would overrule any kind of local ordinances that are already out there that might prohibit firearms in these places. I don't know.
Ask council on that.
Council or patron, I don't know. And Fairfax County's not here, so they haven't said anything to me about it, but I'm just curious whether they've even noticed.
Council.
Mr. Chair, Senator Serval, the bill does not expressly speak to it. I would say a locality could not have any rules that were more relaxed than the terms of this, certainly. And it doesn't speak to whether they can be more strict. And I think absent any prohibition of a locality enacting a rule that is more strict, they would be permitted to.
Yes, ma'am, do you want to, oh, you're okay. All right.
So to follow, Mr. Chairman,
I'm sorry, hold on a second, wait a minute. Senator Chafin, then Senator Sproul.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. I would note that, I mean, for more than 30 years, I will say that the law firm that I'm affiliated with has done work for social service agencies. I'm very familiar with these subjects. And I would say that one of the largest impediments that's out there is the prohibition that exists in our law that prevents firearms from being in a foster care parents' homes. It prevents good, honest, decent people in lots of regions of this state from being able to become a foster care parent, okay? Because they're not willing to make those kinds of concessions. They're not willing to take the rest of their family and put them at risk to take on some needy child, okay? And that's a policy issue that we have. I've often heard this discussion here of not letting the perfect get in the way of the good. Well, this is exactly what this is, okay? This is exactly what this is, Mr. Chairman, because there are good, honest, decent, responsible people in the Commonwealth that would fill the roles of those counties where foster care parents are needed. And so I intend to support this bill, and I intend to make a motion when it's time to do so.
Thank you. I would note that I believe the bill deals with family day homes and not.
Yes.
Okay, all right.
Yes.
All right, thank you. Senator Sproul?
Mr. Chairman, the changes that the young lady brought before us, could they, what's his name?
David?
Yeah, could David look at the different changes, Mr. Chairman, especially the one when the firearm is separated from the ammunition? Of those changes she has, is it possible that he can read those? Maybe one of those we can put in there. But I like the bill, but I do like the separation of the two. I'm curious to know what are the few changes that we have that maybe one of those we can put back into the bill.
Mr. Chairman, can I
Yes,
speak
please,
to
Senator
the
Reese.
bill real quick? I think some of the intent is, in these types of situations, if you're saying a locked closet, cabinet, or container, let me say this. Most of the gun owners I know that have firearms that are worth some money and everything else have gun safes. Safes are not cheap. And to have a separate gun safe just for ammo adds more money to what they're trying to do. And they're locked up, period. So I think the goal of the bill and the intent of the bill, after speaking with Senator Hanger, is to make sure that everything that has to do with a firearm is locked up securely with a key that kids can't get to. I mean, what's the intent of the bill? The intent of the bill is to keep it. When we start talking about putting something here and something over there and making sure it's locked, now you're talking about two keys. What if one key gets, So I think part of the intent of the bill is to line the bill up, make sure kids can't have access to that we're taking care of those things, especially in the day home. I think the bill is simple enough that it does that. I think it does
Mr. Chairman,
address.
I didn't say that. I don't know what's on that paper.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask what's on that paper that she gave him and to see if something we can put in there. I don't know what's on that paper.
Senator Sproul?
Yes, sir.
I would say that the substitute is here. It'd be up to the patron if he wants to entertain any amendments.
I can't speak for Senator Hanger. He'd like the bill to come out. So if there's something we need to put in there, David.
No, but is there anything wrong, Mr. Chairman, as far as letting him, what she gave him? Is there anything wrong with him reading to us what's on the paper?
No, you go.
That's all I asked.
That's fine. You talking about the original?
Yes, sir.
Yes, okay.
Wait a minute, don't cut it. Wait a minute, baby. I'm gonna have my answer first. Thank you.
Mr. Chair, Senator Sproul, I actually didn't get the paper. She never gave it to me, but I can tell you basically what the regulation says. I've already looked at it. And as Senator Reeves explained, it's basically the same as this bill, except for regarding the separation piece. It says that ammunition and guns have to be both locked up, but locked up in different locations. But under the terms of this bill, both in its original form and as the substitute, as Senator Reeves explained, they would just be required to be locked up, but not necessarily separate.
That's all I want to know. I'm happy with it. See, that's all I want to know.
I'm with you, brother.
I will just say that I'm going to be in the camp of not letting the perfect be the enemy of the good. When we heard this in subcommittee, some of the activists who are very active in the gun safety realm had a problem with the language unless they are being lawfully carried on an individual's person. Since that was removed, I am much more comfortable with this. I understand that the second point of contention was having the ammunition and firearms locked in two separate places, but my view, as long as they're locked, I think this gets us a lot farther along on the pathway towards safety than we have been. So I'm going to support the bill.
All right. Senator Chafin, did you have a motion you want to make? Okay. It's been moved and
Mr. Chairman.
seconded. And before we vote, there are other people who want to ask. Senator McPike.
Thank you,
And then
Mr.
Senator
Chairman.
Deeseth.
Just a follow-up question to council. The definition of licensed family day, is that to mean the same or is it different than child care facilities under 15.2, 914 to get to Senator Sherville's point?
Mr. Chair, Senator McPike. So the way that the terms that we use in 63-2 would be a family day home, and then from that, the next step would be a child day center. And the difference between those would be a family day home are going to be your child care facilities that people operate out of their residence. It wouldn't apply to a commercial child care facility that's operated in a shopping center. It's only going to apply to the child care facilities in which they're running it out of their home.
Follow-up question, Mr. Chairman. So under 15.2, 914, which was the section that Senator Sherrill referenced, giving local authorities the ability to create ordinance around child care services and facilities. In addition to that, in the third paragraph, the storage of firearms and their ability to adopt local ordinances, you're saying that this change would not impact or would impact? There are potential ordinances that have already in place. I'm just trying to be sensitive to us not knowing what's already adopted. And so it's no mean to harm. I just want to understand the impact of what we're doing.
Mr. Chair, Senator McPike. So the phrasing of 15.2-914, as you pointed out, applies to regulation and licensing of child care facilities. So it allows the locality to come in and beyond family day homes or child day centers, any child day program, they could do any regulations or require licensing of any of those facilities, and they will continue to have that authority even if this bill goes through.
So one last question.
All right, one more.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So, but as I understand it, they cannot do anything more strict than what is outlined here. And so if they've adopted an ordinance that has some other provision about, for instance, a bio-lock safe or some other additional requirement on the safe type, those ordinance would be dissolved, essentially, if this passes. They'd be null and void at that point.
Mr. Chair, Senator McPike, I think the rule would be that localities could not have a rule that was more relaxed than the terms of this bill. So you couldn't come in and say, you can't have an ordinance that would say you don't have to lock up your guns or, you know, just lock up your guns, but you don't have to lock up your ammo. That would fly in the face of the state law. But without an express prohibition, a locality would be able to enact a more strict ordinance. Well, there's a test for determining that in the courts. It's a three-pronged test that they use.
Okay.
Sorry, just one follow-up point to it, because the code, as I understand it, says that such local ordinance shall not be more extensive. So it expressly says in 914, shall not be more extensive. So I just want to understand if we're changing the bar in this process.
Okay. All right, Senator DeSteff.
Mr. Chairman, I have one quick question. David, this is probably for you. If I'm a law enforcement officer and I'm walking in to drop off or pick up my child, can I have my gun on my side?
Mr. Chair, Senator DeSteff, I believe you would be able to. The bill does not expressly speak to that, but the way I have interpreted the bill, and it appears the way that this has been enforced under current regulation of the Department of Social Services, it is geared towards the person operating the home and speaks to firearms stored in the home, not necessarily a firearm that would be carried on the person of a parent who was a police officer picking up their child.
Mr. Chairman, thank you very much. David,
Yes,
thank
sir.
you.
All right, it's been moved and seconded this bill be reported. Did you want to say anything else, ma'am? While you're standing there.
Yeah, excuse me.
Sure.
Mr. Chairman, I'm Sue Rowland. I am with Fairfax County. And we would want to be assured that the county's ordinance for its own permitted family day homes would not now be restricted from caring for that ordinance that we have. I'm hearing a little bit of confusion, but we may just have to follow that up afterwards.
All right.
Thank you.
Okay, let's go ahead and take care of this bill. It's been moved and properly seconded that we report the bill as the substitute language. All those in favor, please vote aye. Those opposed, no.
Days 11, days 1, extension 2.
Thank you. Mr. Chairman, bill passes.
Mr. Chairman, I have before the committee Senator Saslav's bill 1772. I have an amendment in the nature of substitute and would so move the substitute.
Okay. It's been moved and properly seconded. The substitute be adopted. Those in favor, please say aye. Anybody aye? Okay. Those opposed, no. All right, the substitute is properly before us.
Mr. Chairman, this committee heard much discussion the other day about, in reference to shackling of pregnant females, that definition, Senator McDougal and some of the other attorneys talked to the relevance. I think what we have before us is a Section 1 bill now that sends guidance to the Department of Board of Corrections to review its standards related to allowable restraint practices for pregnant prisoners to ensure that pregnant prisoners are treated humanely. It goes through the rest of it. You can read it. It's a 4-line amendment. Sheriff's Association is comfortable with the language, as well as the patron of the bill, to look at this issue as a Section 1 bill, and I would so move the bill, barring anybody have any questions.
All right. Is there anybody here to speak in support of the bill? Anybody speak? Yes, sir. There's Mr. Jones. How you doing?
Good morning, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee. The Sheriff's Association supports this bill.
All right. Thank you. Yes, sir.
Mr. Chairman, Mike Edwards with the Regional Jail Association, and we support the bill.
Okay. All right. Anybody speak in opposition? All right. It's been moved and properly seconded to report the substitute bill. Those in favor, please vote aye. Those opposed, no. All right, Senator, 15-0.
Mr. Chairman, I think I have one bill that we recommitted to the floor the other day. I believe that bill was,
1777.
yes, sir. That's the amendment. Mr. Chairman, we have one line amendment for the bill. That would be on line 12, striking out under sentence 2 or, and I'd so move that amendment.
All right, it's moved, and is there a second? Moved and seconded, the amendment be adopted. Those in favor, please say aye. Opposed, no. All right, the amended bill is before us. Can you tell us what that does, Senator?
David, you want to address the change in amendment, what the bill, how it changed from the original draft, I guess?
Mr. Chair, the amendment would be on the new printed version of the substitute as it came back from the floor. On line 12, after is, strike under sentence 2 or. So it leaves the language to read, an offender means an adult or juvenile who is confined in a state correctional facility, not under sentence 2 or confined.
Okay. Senator DeStefano?
Mr. Chairman, I have a quick question on this. So if they're confined, actually, so we're taking out the sentence. So if they're confined to a state correctional facility, this has no impact on our local jails, because even if they're confined to a state correctional facility and contracted to a local jail, it's still not associated. Is that correct, David?
Mr. Chair, Senator DeStefano, that would be correct. They would have to be confined in a state correctional facility.
Okay, so then clearly has no effect on local jails.
Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, Senator McDougal.
So are we talking about on lines 12, under sentence 2 or confined? Did we change that?
Yes.
Yes.
So, okay, the whole thing's gone.
So, Mr. Chairman, what this does is it's a collection and data reporting bill that the Department of Corrections reports to the General Assembly and the Governor on October 1st each year. It covers a gamut of issues from 26 to lines 38 to allow them the opportunity to see where we are with regard to how we're housing, bed assignments, and those such things with regard to taking care of juveniles and adults and how they're confined in our state correctional facilities. So it's a kind of a revision, revamp on the information that they need so we can have some reportable data with regard to prisoner care and concern.
Okay.
That's the bill.
All right, is there anybody here to speak in support of this bill? Anybody to speak in opposition? Yes, sir.
Good morning. Bill Fair, ACLU of Virginia. Could I ask a clarifying question in the definition? I'm confused between what I heard the conversation on the Senate floor earlier this week. The definition, does that now include the reference to the American Correctional Association standard or no?
David, I have to give that to you.
Mr. Chair, there's been only one amendment to the language as it stood on the floor, and that was to remove the words under sentence 2 or. There have been no other changes as far as referencing.
That's no. Okay, and
unless it was in there before.
And
Mr. Chairman, excuse me. Could you get you the mic?
Yes.
I can't, Rice Reeds is blocking him.
Senator Reeves, could you let him get to the mic, please?
Thank you.
And second question, substitute as I saw it the other day, would have collected this information in the aggregate for the entire system and not by facility. Is that still the case or no?
That'd be correct.
That's correct.
It's by aggregate for the entire, okay, based on those two factors, ACLU of Virginia would oppose this bill. We do not believe that collecting information by facility would be an increased cost to the state. It makes no sense that they would be collecting this information at the facility level, then sending it for compilation at some central location and then weeding out that identifying factor. And it would lead us to question what the department is seeking to keep the public from knowing by doing that. Right. Secondly, we cannot support any version of this bill that does not include some reference either to the ACA standard or to 22 or more hours per day alone in solitary confinement. So we would oppose the bill on those two grounds.
All right, thank you very much. Thank you. Senator Moran, did you want to speak to the bill? Secretary, sorry about that.
I'm not sure what you were I'll go by any. Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, we have been working with the senator to eliminate any substantial fiscal impact. I mean, there is a lot of data that is required to be reported. It's not necessarily a position to oppose that, but trying to accommodate it without. I mean, this is all by hand. It'll be a manual exercise, and so I think we've reached a compromise with the senator with respect to eliminating a substantial fiscal impact and still getting a lot of data to the General Assembly. So, you know, it wasn't our bill, so I'm not here to actually say we support it, but we don't oppose it, and I think it's in shape where DOC can comply.
All right, thank you, sir. I appreciate it. Senator Reeves, you want to wrap it up?
I sure will. I serve on the Offended Population Forecast Committee, and as we go through offenses and DOC issues each year, we talk about trends, what's happening, and the number of arrests. And we've often asked for this information that wasn't available for that committee work to be done, so we can actually track if there's, you know, these things that are in here. And I understand the concerns of the ACLU, but as we all know in here, it takes an enormous amount of work, and it does take a lot of money to do some of these things. And you know, I think at some point when we get down to the micro data of information, I think we could probably get to that point at some point, but you know, this is the first step in trying to get some of that information so we can use it. So with that, Mr. Chairman, without anybody wanting to talk, I'd make the motion that the amendment and nature substitute pass.
All right, been moved. Is there a second? Second. It's been moved and properly seconded that the amendment and nature substitute pass. Those in favor, please vote aye. Those opposed, no.
Ayes 15, nays 0.
All right, Mr. Chairman, 15-0.
Senator Cosgrove, I think that's it. Are we done?
Oh, House, we doing House bills? Okay, I guess we're going to. All right, for what House Appropriation did to me yesterday, I don't see any of it.
Delegate Hope. Oh, let's go by that. That's going by for the day. Is Jeff here? Delegate Campbell, are you ready to go?
I am, Mr. Chair.
Ready to bring their attention to 1953.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. House Bill 1953, as most all of you are aware, in administrative appeals of abuse and neglect findings, where there is a
Delegate, Would you please move that mic up closer? Thank you, that'd be better. Thanks. Now, you don't have to bend down, just.
So, as most all of you are aware, in administrative appeals of abuse and neglect findings, where there is a collateral criminal charge pending, that proceeding is stayed.
Delegate Campbell,
Yes.
we operate extremely efficient in this committee. Can I just help you real quick?
Sure.
This is identical to Senator Mason's bill 1416, which reported out of rehab and social 15 to nothing. All right, it's been moved and seconded to report the identical bill to Senator Mason's bill. The committee will vote.
Senator Mason could have done that for me this morning if he were a friend.
That's how easy it is here. Just remember that, Delegate Campbell.
The other
Starting
times
next
I've
week.
been here, it's not been quite that easy.
Yeah, there's a new sheriff in town. We make it work.
Mr. Chairman, I didn't want him to miss that quality debate that he's been enjoying for the last
I think
20,
you
30
just missed me. That's what it's worth.
What else do we have?
Thank you.
Delegate Bell, yeah. Delegate Bell, you're up. And let me make this easy for you. All right, Delegate Bill has a similar bill to 1726, Senator McDougal and Senator McPike's bill, reported from rehab and social services with a substitute 14 to nothing.
I move to conform this bill to Senator McDougal's bill.
So there's been a motion to conform Delegate Bell's bill to Senator McDougal and Senator McPike's bill. Is there a second to that motion? Been moved and seconded to do that. Committee will vote to conform.
Mr. Chairman, I move to report the bill.
It's been moved and properly
Second.
seconded to report the bill. You ready for this? We had to conform it. Now we did? We're done? All right. My staff tells me you're out of here.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
That's how easy it is.
It's my best testimony ever.
Yeah, that's how it works. Silence is golden in this committee. Anything else? All right, barring that, committee arrives. Thank you, guys. Have a great weekend.